Hey, the best movie-related adventure games. We've got that. I'm the guy introducing you to the guy who's introducing you to the guys from the game movie, from the adventure game movies. Stu, take it away. Ow, I just bit, that hurt.
Hello, I'm Stu the Adventure Brummie, and today we're going to be looking at movies that were turned into adventure games. Some of them are well known, some of them are a bit more obscure. Have you played any? Let me know in the comments below. You sell out! Shh. So, let's get the ball rolling with the immortal words of Robert De Niro. Say hello to my tiny friend. In one. Hook is the 1991 sequel to Peter Pan. Directed by Steven Spielberg, Robin Williams plays the grown-up boy who shoulda, woulda, coulda never grow up, and Dustin Hoffman as the evil crocodile-hating pirate LeChuck. Sorry, Hook. Julia Roberts joins us as Stroppy Fairy Tinkerbell, while Bob Hoskins assists Captain Hook as Mr. Shmee.
Peter has long forgotten his Neverland days. But when Hook returns to kidnap his children, he has little choice but to remember his past, reconnect with the Lost Boys, and become... He'll fly once more, he'll fight once more, and he'll croak. No, the other one. The game was developed by Shadow Software and released on Amiga, Atari ST and DOS by Ocean in 1992. The graphics are nice enough, albeit a bit brown and lacking depth. They're considerably prettier games out around this time. However, the icon bar is one of the nicer ones I've seen in games of this era. It portrays Hook and Peter with blinking eyes and twitching faces. Occasionally when you successfully complete a puzzle, Hook will angrily shake his hook at you, and when you finally become Peter Pan, your character portrait changes to signify this.
It's a short basic game with easy puzzles. There are some strange plot elements, such as allowing a dodgy dentist to extract your gold teeth for money, and repetitive sections where you basically just kind of watch Peter work out on an exercise bike. Other than that, it follows the plot of the film with some amusing elements. It's okay, but nothing special.
Number 2.
The Rocky Horror Show began life as a musical by Richard O'Brien.
Will you stop the fans, please?
In 1973. It spawned the movie The Rocky Horror Picture Show in 1975, and though initially poorly received, the movie became a cult classic and continues to have late night double feature picture shows to this day.
The movie stars Tim Curry as the sweet transvestite Frankenfurter and Susan Sarandon and Barry Boswick as Janet and Brad, respectively. Couple Brad and Janet break down near a castle and decide to seek assistance, only to find themselves part of a celebration held by Frankenfurter. It transpires that he's discovered the secret to life itself and created a man with blonde hair and a tan to be his own personal playmate. Published and developed by Online Entertainment Limited, this car crash of a game,
damn it! I knew I should have gotten that spare tire fixed.
Was released in 1999 for Windows under the name Rocky Interactive Horror Show. Regardless of whether you play as Brad or Janet, your better half has been turned to stone and you have to collect parts of the D-Medusa in order to turn them back. The game is nonsensical, so much so that it came with a walkthrough, and it bears very little resemblance to the movie.
For 1999, the digitised sprites are kinda crappy, and the crudely drawn backgrounds don't make it in the least bit appealing. I think I preferred the 8-bit home computer versions.
I agree.
The only slightly cool feature is the live cutscenes with Richard O'Brien and Christopher Lee, although even they can become a bit repetitive. It can become lost in time and lost in space for all I care.
Number 3.
Based on Philip K. Dick's book The Android's Dream of Electric Sheep, Blade Runner was directed by Ridley Scott and released in 1982. Set in a dystopian LA, a group of androids with super abilities known as replicants are looking to find their creator to extend their lives beyond the 4 years with which they've been programmed.
Harrison Ford plays replicant hunter Rick Deckard, who is reluctantly assigned to find them and their violent yet introspective leader Roy Batty.
Played by Rutger Hauer.
While questioning the head of the Tyrell Corporation, Alden Tyrell, the original replicant creator, he meets Rachel, his replicant assistant, who he later falls in love with. A number of games were heavily influenced by Blade Runner, and in 1997 the official adventure game was released. This version was developed by Westwood Studios and published by Virgin Interactive Entertainment for Linux, Mac and Windows, with a remaster by Night Dive Studios due out very soon. Blade Runner was one of the first 3D adventure games, using motion captured characters over pre-rendered backgrounds, and despite being over 20 years old, still looks great. Although there aren't a great amount of puzzles, the way you interact with the world and how you gather evidence can change the outcome of each section, leading to multiple endings, giving it a huge level of replayability, something that was ahead of its time.
The game follows Detective Ray McCoy, who is on his own replicant hunt. Try saying that after 10 points. Events happen in real time alongside the plot of the movie, and they sometimes overlap. The cast reprise their roles, locations are faithfully reproduced, and Vangelis allows songs from the soundtrack to be used.
Number 4.
Directed by Critters director Stephen Herrick, starring Alex Winter as Bill S. Preston Esquire and Keanu Reeves as Ted Theodore Logan, 1989's Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure sees the Jew on the verge of failing high school if they don't pass history class.
Unbeknownst to them, the future of civilization depends on them staying together, and if they fail high school, they'll be separated by their parents, putting the future in jeopardy. Fortunately, a time-travelling phone booth rocks up, and inside is their saviour, Rufus, played by the late great George Carlin. He explains to them about their impact on the future, and with his help they might just pass history class. They can use the phone booth to collect famous historical figures and bring them back to modern day San Dimas. Off the Wall Productions developed the 1990 capstone software release for Amiga, C64 and DOS. The game follows the plot of the film pretty much exactly, the difficulty decided by how many historical figures you want to collect. By using the game's manual, a copyright protection tactic of the time, you dial in different years into the phone booth's keypad. You then travel through history, solving puzzles to lure people back with you. There are also mini-games included. There's a maze, a platforming section, and even a part where you fight cowboys.
The graphics and sound aren't that impressive, other than some digitised speech and digitised images in the PC version. The C64 tries the same. I mean, the Amiga does like a comic book attempt, and that looks a lot better if you ask me. It's not a difficult game, and if you know what you're doing, you can complete it in about 15 minutes.
Number 5.
Beavis Butthead originally aired on MTV's Liquid Television in 1992. It was a short called Frog Baseball. This was so well received that a series was commissioned which ran from 1993 to 1997. And yes, I know it's technically a TV show, but a movie was released in 1996 called Beavis and Butthead Do America.
Beavis and Butthead are two idiotic teenagers who basically just want to listen to metal and do whatever they can to annoy everyone else. The show comprised of a mixture of music videos and TV shows that they would critique from their sofa, and short stories where they would go out into the world and do something stupid, such as stealing credit cards, blowing up bathrooms, inhaling stove gas, crashing scooters, and in the movie, set out to find their stolen television. Beavis and Butthead Virtual Stupidity was released in 1995, developed and published by Viacom New Media for PlayStation and Windows, and it was surprisingly well received. After all, it did look just like the cartoon and also had full voice acting to go with it, something that being released on CD really helped with. After Beavis and Butthead get a beating by hard as nails lunatic Todd, they leave their job at Burger World to pursue him and his gang with the intention of joining them. Their number of mini-games called Hocker-Loogie, Court Chaos, Bug Justice and Air Guitar, but they don't really impact the game as a whole, they're just fun and childish.
It's simple and straightforward with an easy to use control scheme. I mean, it's no Grim Fandango, but if you enjoyed the cartoon then you'll probably enjoy this.
Number 6.
The original Back to the Future was written by Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale and directed by Robert Zemeckis and released in 1985. It stars Michael J. Fox as Marty McFly, the skateboarding, guitar-shredding tardy teen, and Christopher Lloyd as the wild-eyed, plutonium-stealing scientist, Dr. Emmett Brown.
The movies revolve around a time machine that Doc Brown creates using a DeLorean.
The way I see it, if you're gonna build a time machine into a car, why not do it with some style?
The first has Marty stuck in 1955, and after convincing a young Doc to help him, they formulate a plan to send him back to 1985. In the second film, while Doc and Marty are on a mission in the year 2015, series villain Biff steals the DeLorean without them knowing. They return to a 1985 where Biff is now a powerful millionaire and discover they must return to 1955 to change things back to how they were. In the third and final film, Doc is stuck in 1885, and when Marty learns that he's murdered by a relative of Biff's, he travels back to the Old West to save him. There have been a number of failed attempts at the Back to the Future games over the years, although the Super Nintendo's Back to the Future 2 wasn't too bad. It wasn't until Telltale Games released their 5-part episodic series in 2010 that fans got something that was truly in the spirit of the movies. Episodes were released from December 2010 on PC and Mac, and then pretty much every other platform for the next 5 years. Back to the Future the game built on the trilogy's lore with help from co-creator Bob Gale. Actors allowed their original likenesses to be used, which hadn't always happened in the past, and various voice actors were brought in to imitate the cast, with Christopher Lloyd being the only original member to permanently return, although Biff's parts were re-recorded with Thomas F. Wilson for future releases.
The game follows Doc and Marty through various time periods, solving fairly easy signposted puzzles and the occasional quick time event. It looks and sounds great, especially in the later ports, but the story quality does drop a little in later episodes.
Number 7.
Full disclosure, I don't really like this series. I do like Jim Carrey, but I prefer his more serious roles in things like The Truman Show, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and Cable Guy.
Hipster!
No, I'm not a hipster.
Ace Ventura is a private detective who specialises in finding missing animals. In the first movie, he must find the Miami Dolphins' missing mascot and also prevent player Dan Marino from being kidnapped by a disgruntled ex-football player. In the second movie, When Nature Calls, Ace comes out of retirement, leaving behind his new life as a monk to find Shikaka, an albino bat. There was also a made-for-TV third movie called Ace Ventura: Pet Detective Jr. and a cartoon TV series which aired for 2 years. Ace Ventura, the CD-ROM game, was primarily based on the cartoon series. It was developed by 7th Level and released for PC in October 1996. The graphical style manages to capture the feel of the cartoon perfectly, and with full voice acting by the cast, it certainly feels like an episode of the show, especially as you're joined by your pet monkey Spike. There are some action sequences that require you to do things such as dodging fire and swimming underwater.
But those controls are shittier than Ace Ventura's litter tray.
As it's clearly aimed at kids, the puzzles are very easy, and there's a hint system in the form of Ace's watch. Reviews were average, with the majority stating it's only worth trying if you're a fan of the show. If not, it's probably best avoided. I'm going to.
Number 8.
Dune is a movie I feel like I should have seen, but I haven't. Neither have I read the books or seen the TV show. I do, however, like The Police, Carl McLaughlin in Twin Peaks, and Eraserhead. So, same thing.
Directed by David Lynch, Dune is based on the 1965 science fiction novel written by Frank Herbert. Set in the distant future, two families fight for sole control of the planet Arrakis, which is rich in melange, a spice required for interstellar travel. When the leader of the Atreides family is murdered, his son Paul is taken in by the natives of the Arrakis, and he helps lead an army of their warriors to war against the opposing Harkonnen family to take back control of the planet. You play as Paul throughout, and as per the movie, discover you have psychic powers as it progresses. The game runs in real time. While having to oversee mining for melange, you must also take control of the military, and you will only be successful if you can manage the two. The adventure element sees you travelling and talking to various characters, requesting assistance and bargaining.
Developed by Cryo and published by Virgin Games, Dune was released in 1992 for PC and Amiga, and a year later on Mega CD. Although based more around the novel than the movie, it includes footage from the film and voice acting by the cast. The Mega CD version was an amalgamation of the Amiga and PC versions.
Number 9.
Plan 9 from Outer Space is often cited as Ed Wood's best movie. However, even if you know the slightest bit about the man, you'll appreciate that isn't a difficult task considering the track record of terrible productions.
Originally developed under the title Grave Robbers from Outer Space, Plan 9 was released in 1959 and starred a cobbled together cast. Basically, if you had an ounce of acting skill, you could be in it. From psychics to wrestlers, they came from all backgrounds to chew up the scenery. It was originally shown on television and was largely forgotten until it was rediscovered in the 80s and became a cult classic. The game was developed and published by Gremlin in 1992 for PC, Amiga and Atari ST. It actually has very little to do with the movie. The movie's plot revolves around aliens trying to stop humans creating a universe-destroying weapon by creating an army on Earth by resurrecting our dead. It feels a little bit more like a sequel to Ed Wood than anything else. In the game, Bela Lugosi's double is angry that he didn't get the due credit from performing in Plan 9, and so steals the movie with a plan to put himself back into it and colorise it for re-release. Your job is to find the 6 stolen reels and piece the movie back together by actually viewing the footage in real time and ensuring it hasn't been changed.
I can't really think of anything worse than having to continually watch scenes from the original film over and over again. Although reviews commented that it was probably better than the film, that's not exactly high praise.
Number 10.
Hey Dr. Jones, No Time for Love! Wrong movie and also incorrectly quoted in Clerks. However, it's still a great film that holds up today and considerably less questionable than Temple of Doom. Although Temple of Doom is far superior to Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but then again, so is Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade was a return to the more upbeat feel of Raiders of the Lost Ark, after Steven Spielberg and George Lucas realised they didn't entirely like the direction they went in with Temple of Doom. Released in 1989, we get to see a little of Indy's backstory, with a young Indiana played by River Phoenix, and then Harrison Ford returns, joined by Sean Connery as his father Henry. This time, Indy and Henry are in search of the Holy Grail, but it's a race to get there before the Nazis do. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade had a number of half-decent ports, the majority of which varied in style, but in 1989, Lucasfilm Games as it was known then released an absolute belter of an adventure game, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, The Graphic Adventure. This beloved title followed the plot of the movie, with some additional story points taken straight from Lucas and Spielberg's unused ideas. The third game to be released that used the Scum engine, there are some added control mechanics such as fighting, and it was possible for you to die. You could also complete it in a number of different ways. It was released for Amiga, Atari ST and DOS, and a CD-ROM version was released with 256 colours and CD audio. This was released for the PC, the CD-TV and FM towns.
It was universally praised, made it onto numerous top gaming lists and paved the way for the equally fantastic Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis.